Right, we don't want to take any more than anyone's time than we have to. But as some of you all know, yesterday the PCS National Executive Committee voted not to take action on March 28th over pensions and instead to build through action with law unions later in April, basically after the NET's had its conference. So, Mr. Hector Wesley, our branch chair, was in that meeting and he's going to give you some background as to why that decision was taken and stuff, if you like.
Yeah, thanks Dave. Appreciate the opportunity to explain to members, you know, many whom are unhappy and concerned about the NEC's decision yesterday, to explain the reason why we took it. When we agreed to ballot members in February, we were in a coalition in effect of a number of unions. And we took the decision then that given the nature of the pensions issue, it was not an issue that we thought we could fight successfully on our own as a union, because it was a very big issue that covered a number of different sectors, a number of different unions were involved. So we took the decision in February that if we were going to carry on the campaign industrially, we would need to have unions covering more than one pension scheme. So for example, we're in the civil service pension scheme and there are other public sector pension schemes, for example the teachers pension scheme, local government and health and so on. So we took the view that we're going to carry on and carry on the campaign successfully, we would need to have unions covering more than one pension scheme. When we balloted in February, we had an understanding with the NUT that if they were going to do a ballot alongside the same sort of timescale as we were going to do, and if we both got positive results, i.e. members rejected the government's final offer and agreed to carry on, we would carry on industrial action and we would start that with one-day national action on the 28th of March. And that was what we agreed in February, and that's the basis on which we balloted members, because we were conscious in the run-up to November the 30th and beyond, whenever I did meetings on pensions, one of the first questions that I was always asked is, we know what the PCS are doing, what their PCS position, but what are the other unions doing? And then we always got that, and there was a conscious, and certainly after November the 30th, when some of the big unions like Unison and G&B were indicating they weren't going to take industrial action in the short to medium term, the question that I was getting asked most often as an NEC member is, are we going to be forced to carry on fighting on our own? So that is why, in February, we're having discussions with the NUT, with other unions as well, is that we would not fight on our own, we would fight with a smaller group, but still a group that covered a sizable number of members. What happened was, we had our ballot result, and we got a reasonably good turnout. I mean, not brilliant, but we got a very high yes vote for industrial action. The teaching unions, the NUT rather, they had their result. Their NEC met after the result and took a slightly different decision from what they previously agreed with us. What they said was, given the nature of their ballot result in terms of turnout, they felt uncomfortable going ahead with March the 28th. And that basically is the essence of the reason why the NEC took the view that it would be wrong for us as PCS to call our members out on the 28th of March, when those members, many of them were balloted, when they got an insert which said if we were going to take action, we were taking action alongside other unions, principally the NUT nationally. When in many parts of the country, NUT would not be out. The only part of the country where the NUT would take action will be London. London only. And we felt on that basis, we thought it was right. We're not calling off to this, we're not saying we're not going to take any further action. What we said is, on the basis of the NUT, the proposition the NUT put to us, we were prepared to take national action on the 28th alongside their members in London only, right? What we have said to them is that you're going to have a debate at your conference at Easter. We would hope that you would vote to carry on national action. If you do, we as an NEC will be quite prepared to work alongside you and take action alongside with you in April. That's the decision the NEC took yesterday. We had a big debate about it. And some NEC members took a different view and they tried to put amendments to the General Secretary's recommendation to actually go ahead on the 28th of March. Those amendments were defeated, and I'm glad that after those amendments were defeated the NEC, the whole NEC actually agreed with the substantive proposition put forward by the General Secretary, as I just mentioned, which basically said, We don't go ahead with the 28th of March, but we look to build the biggest possible coalition for further action in April. And I think that is the right decision, in my view. I think it's basically been consistent with the decision we took in February, which said we couldn't really carry on our own. And that is the reality, in essence, of the decision. So people don't like that. People won't be happy with that decision, but that's the reason why the NEC took that decision yesterday. Yeah.
Hello again. Peter was first. Has to be said.
Okay, well, I'm not making a comment so much as just two questions. First of all, assuming that the NUT do vote yes and we decide to continue with action, will we have to hold another ballot?
No.
Right, that's one thing at least. And then the other thing is, what happens if the NUT or whatever other unions decide not to go ahead? What will be? Have we made a decision on what our position will be then? Will we continue to fight and take industrial action alone?
Well, the position the NEC's adopted, which we were quite clear with, certainly with activists at the pensions briefings we held around the country, is that if the situation was we were completely isolated and it was just PCS National Action, we as an NEC have taken the view, and we've been quite upfront with members about this, is we, in that situation, we do not think it will be sustainable to carry on an industrial action campaign on that basis, on the pensions issue. Let's be clear though, when we got the initial ballot mandate last year, we recognised, we ain't forgotten, that the ballot wasn't just about pensions, it was about pay, jobs, services. So those issues are still very much live issues. In fact, to be honest with you, the pensions issue, no matter what happens, will be a live issue because, right, let's not forget, we've got contribution increases in 3 tranches, starting next month. And there'll be the following 12 months hence from there, 12 months hence from there, 2013, 2014. The new pension schemes, based on, for example, career averaging and so on, they will need primary legislation to go through Parliament. So that will take probably at least a year. So there's going to be a lot, this campaign on the issue of pensions will carry on in some form for a while yet. Because I think the other unions, they're going to be facing, the other unions who at this moment are not taking action. They potentially may be taking action in the future because, for example, at some point I suspect the likes of Unison and GMB will have to consult their members about the offers that they've been put to them with respect to their schemes in local government and health. So all I'm saying is the situation in some respects is fluid, and I suspect this is going to be a very long-running campaign indeed on the issue of pensions. All I'm saying is, on the issue of March the 28th, the difficulty was that the NUT changed their position. Had they not changed their position, what they said to us in February, we will be pushing the button, and we'll be taking action on March the 28th. No doubt about that. The reality is, when the NUT came to us and actually, we're only going to be taking action in London, that changed the complexion of the whole issue. That is the reason why we think we're right to take the decision not to press over the 28th of March. That doesn't mean we're not be asking members to take industrial action in the near future. I would hope, actually, that the NUT will do have their conference and their debate, will agree to have national action. And if they do, we made it absolutely clear to them that we will carry on and go alongside them and take action alongside them on the issue of pensions. So that's in essence the reason why we've done what we've done.
I'm feeling, I know vaguely what you're going to say. Fiona, do you want to come?
Yeah.
First?
Calm. Hector.
Yeah, hello.
Couple of things. What we're essentially saying then is if the other unions don't decide to come out, we're going to give up, which I think is an appalling position for us to be in.
That's not
hang on. Shut up. If,
is this still being filmed?
Hector.
Yes. Thank you.
if our campaign is not just about pensions and it's about the pay, job cuts, office closures and all the other things the issues that we've got, why pull the action on the 28th? Because members are just as pissed off about the job cuts and the pay and everything else. So we had a date there, members have been geared up for it. It's not just about pensions in their view, and you've just said it's not about pensions, it's about the whole rot. So why pull it, even if we said, okay, this isn't about the pensions today, it's about everything else. But having got such a fantastic ballot result, members and reps totally geared up, the work that's gone into getting that, and then to pull it because the NUT aren't playing ball over one aspect of the campaign. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, the NEC now needs to get out and start talking to members and reps as a matter of urgency around what the decision has been, because even just looking at Facebook last night, and that's just one tiny little thing, the feeling out there is you know, well, I can't even describe it. People are really, really hacked off. Now, I'm not going to preempt what members think about the decision that's been taken. Most of the people that were on Facebook last night are reps, and understandably we're a bit pissed off because we've done a lot of work for nothing. But whatever the feeling is out there, people need to understand why this decision's been made. And just to put out a members' briefing is not acceptable, because a lot of people won't read it, won't understand it, will misunderstand it. The NEC are going to have to start sending people out there to actually talk to members about what's happening. If for no other reason than to start keep that momentum building up for whatever date in the future we may take action. Because the danger is that having taken everybody up to the top of the hill and then left them there, they will start wandering off in all directions and will not maintain that desire to take action. So a couple of points there. Sorry, sweetheart, I don't know if you have time.
Well, no, I mean, it's just on this point about the NEC, because we knew about the NEC vote a week before, though, we were due to finish our ballot. So if that was the argument, that because the NUT have pulled out of the action, therefore we can't fight alone, then why did we continue with the ballot? And we were never fighting alone. The UCU are still coming out, and as you say, NUT members in London are still coming out. NUT reps have been trying to put pressure on their NUT leadership to get that national action back on the ground before the 28th, not for it not to just be London. As well, if we'd have taken that national action, that would have been a far bigger pressure that these NUT reps could have put on their own leadership, and they go to their spring conference to say, PCS are leading the way, we basically need to join them. If you have a look at the whole momentum of 2011, how did we get that action? UCU, a tiny union, came out first. They were joined by us. We then were able to convince the bigger unions. It was the tail wagging the dog.
Absolutely.
Therefore, though, what we were fighting back for, in terms of March the 28th, and Fiona's just said it, because though we weren't just fighting over pensions, when the Tories come out with that decision about regional pay at the weekends, they're sniffing weakness with our unions. They can see, though, that we are basically backing down in this face of attack. And therefore, though, they have decided now is the time to launch. They probably cannot believe their luck that we have basically backed down in this threat. The most unpopular government, certainly of this century, who couldn't even get a mandate to basically come into an election and launch the attack when it's done. We're in a much, much more powerful position than they are. And I just think this is the wrong time to back down. And it wasn't the whole of the NEC. 3 NEC members voted against backing down on action on the 28th. And I just think when a union with our leadership is proud to call itself socialist, we should be leading the way, not backing down that because of the unions out there.
Yeah.
Anybody up? Well,
A strong here.
All I was going to say was, the fact is this strike action was that soon after budget day, and all the shit that's going to hit the fan on budget day. We would have got more people out than I reckon we would have done previously. We've lost an opportunity.
I might be a little bit more share here.
no, go ahead.
I put my sentence on Facebook last time, but it was really clear. Sensibly. I think that the way this is being framed now, it seems like March 28th was actually intended to be another one-day protest strike. It's like, well, if we couldn't get the unity from the different unions on that one day, it would have been a washout. The fact is, I never perceived it as being a one-day strike. I perceived it as being the start of the next bit of the fight back. And therefore, we still go out on strike on that day, and then we're bringing other unions with us at the end of April. We don't just knock that one ahead because no one else is with us. Because what we've done is we've told the government that, right, unless we've got other unions with us, we're not going to take action. Which is just going to scupper. Industrially, we've just shot ourselves right in the foot.
It's the old divide and conquer, isn't it?
I think also we have to think about our members as well, because a lot of them, they're just beginning to find out what's been going on. Some people are not aware, some people were geared up for it. And I think we have missed an opportunity in that if we want the support again, are people really going to trust us? Because what we're saying is when we're making a decision, what you said, based on someone else, not on what PCS is doing, but that's how it's going to appear. You know,
We're
people
toothless.
are waiting for us to go back to tell them what is going on, what is happening. Because I found out from someone else. You know, this just isn't good enough. Sorry, that's just.
Right. Can I respond to some of this stuff then?
Yeah.
Try.
I mean, on the issue about conveying the NEC decision, right? Now, we did everything we could that as soon as the decision was made, we did it on our website, Facebook, Twitter, and we actually put out fast text. Now, I would hope in this day and age, particularly in HMRC, we have got internet access, that people would have found out in relatively short order by one of those methods, if they were interested in the issue, to find out the result of the NEC's decision. All I'd say about this issue about unions on their own, I'll refer you to the ballot insert that we put in the ballot paper out to members. It was very specific. And we said there that we believe, let me read what it says, the National Executive believes that an alliance of these unions across at least 2 public sector schemes can deliver a strong campaign. That's reality, right? PCS in its history has often fought battles completely on its own, and we'd be right to do that. On this issue, however, right, we've got to recognise there's a big public sector, very big public sector. Big scheme in health, big scheme in local government, big scheme in education and civil service. And the reality was, if for example, we were the only union in the civil service scheme taking action, and all the other schemes, all the big unions carrying the other schemes, were not taking action on any aspect of the issue, I'm saying to you, do you really honestly think we're going to have industrially force the government to make concessions? I would like to think yes, the answer to that question could be yes. I'm honest though, and the reality is actually no. We need a big alliance of people at least covering more than one scheme to have a chance of getting concessions. That's what the NEC believes in the reality of the situation. Not how we would like it to be, but I think that's the realistic situation. That's why we put what we said in that insert. And the ballot, let's remember, the ballot we just been through was about the pension issue. We wanted members to give their response to the government's final offer, and then we asked question number 2, if you don't agree with the government's offer, you agree to reject, are you prepared to take action alongside other unions, starting off with one-day national action on the 28th? Now, I've got to be honest, this is why I think it's tricky, because we would have, had we known back in February that the NUT were actually going to be contemplating only taking action in London, we would not have framed our ballot in that way. We framed it on the basis of an agreement that we're all going to ballot similarly, and if we all got a mandate, i.e. members voting yes to reject and yes to take action, we would all take the one-day national action on the 28th. We penciled it in, so we made it clear to members up front, this is what we're going to start off with, and then we'll carry on from there. We weren't going to define what's going to happen after that, because we want to consult with members after that. That's the difficulty. And with regard to the UCU, Anna, I'll make a couple of points about UCU. UCU are important. I'll say 2 things, right? A lot of higher education colleges already broken up for the undergraduate terms already, last Friday or this Friday. So a UCU coming out in a lot of places on the 28th isn't going to have a huge amount of impact with respect. And got to remember, UCU, for example, in Scotland, not taking action. UCU in Northern Ireland are not taking action. And that all I'm saying is that had we gone ahead on March the 28th, it would have been in large parts of the UK, it would have been only PCS out on strike. And I think that would have caused difficulties for us. But I'm going to see the media at a lot of offices, like in the Northwest or the Midlands, say, hang on a minute, you're taking action on pensions, it's not just fixed news, is it? What about the other members? What about the other public sector workers? What about, the teachers down the road? They're not taking action. Why are they taking action? I think it was difficult. So what we're saying is, we're not calling anything off. All we're saying is, we are consistent with the position we put to the union back in February. We're saying we want national action. Had the NUT, for example, said the action in London was part of a rolling campaign which over a period of time will cover the rest of the country, we probably could have gone ahead with March 28th. The NUT were not even prepared to give us that commitment or even that indication of a commitment of that nature. What they're saying is March 28th and then nothing. They went to conference, the conference to decide. That for us, unfortunately, as PCS NEC, didn't think it was good enough. Now, regarding the NEC position, I did say 3 members of the executive put an amendment to come out on March 28th. Now, I fully respect their position on that, fully respect them, I'm still mates with them, they don't agree with me, but I'm still happy, I fully respect their position. The point I make, Anna, is that they put their amendments, and their amendments were lost, right? And when their amendments were lost, they voted for the substantive recommendations. That's what I said in my opening remarks. They voted for the substantive. They put their recommendations in, they put it to a vote, it didn't get passed, But when we had to a substantive issue, the NEC was fully united after we had a debate. And that's why I think that was right. So I still respect this issue. All I'm saying to you is I'm absolutely certain. I mean, I've seen a lot of the traffic on Facebook and Twitter and so on, and some of it is mixed, right? I mean, a lot of it's anti, but that's some positive. For example, I remember the culture sector, which I'm the liaison officer for, they met last Friday. And they rang me, their president rang me on Friday night and said, actually, Hector, in light of what the NUT's done, I don't think you should call on, I'll have difficult to get my members out and get March 28th for this basis. Because their members are saying, we want to take action alongside NUT nationally, not just in London. So all I'm saying to you, the position is mixed. At the moment, a lot of the traffic is saying, yeah, anti-NEC decision. All I'm hoping is that people recognise we're not calling the issue off. What we're saying is, we want to rebuild what is going on in the other unions to national action, not just in London only, right? And take it forward on that basis. Because we need to put maximum pressure on the government to succeed. I worry, had we got ahead of March 28th, it would have been seen by the government as our last hurrah of militants, and they'll be forced to concede. Because they would have come after the NUT and said, hang on, the NUT are taking action in London, you're valid for action, but why only London? And that's the difficulty. I'm just thinking we better to take a little step back, look how things got their conflict next month, right? And hopefully they will make the right decision and carry on national action. I'm conscious that members of your go at the NUT, I don't think like doing that, because they've got their own issues. Because you've got to remember there's two other major unions in teaching, ATL and ASWT. ATL are settling, right? And they're a big union in education in parts of the country. They're settling. So in a lot of schools, you've got ATL against AUT. And the SUWT, again, at the moment, they're saying they're not taking strike action. What they're saying, their position is not peace, but not war. What they're saying is action short of strike. That's what they're prepared to go down this far. So I understand there are pressures on the NUT that they've got difficulties there. But similarly, we've got difficulties in the civil service. Prospects, for example, that indicate at the moment, they might recommend this offer to their members in the civil service. Similarly with the FDA, right? So there's going to be there issues and there's tensions there. But all I'm saying is, if had what been agreed in February been actually enacted, we were taking the action. And that is the long and the short of it. So, yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing about this whole business of alliance and solidarity with other unions and all the rest, and it just surprises me because at the end of the day, when you have a situation where you're looking at alliances and you're being driven by decisions made by other unions, in particular in this case NUT, it's almost as if we're sort of bound by what they're going to do and what they decide they're going to do. And at the end of the day, someone's going to be a pallbearer. I agree with Anna. I think we've missed a huge opportunity. I think that we're toothless, and I think that at the end of the day, all these things that you're saying, to me, they just are a mishmash of trying to align all these unions with a common aim, and you're never going to get that, and the government knows that. And as long as they know that, they will just laugh in our face, because at the end of the day, you're never going to have a situation where, like a Rubik's cube, all the components of that cube are aligned in the way that you want them to be aligned, so that you can then go forward with your action and justify your action. It's a load of cobblers. Yeah, I'm sorry, but at the end, if you want to send out a clear message, you need to be militant in this situation. You need to, literally take the bull by the horns. Someone's got to grow a pair and say, you know what, we're going to go out on this solo, and then you see if others don't follow you. Yeah? That's my viewpoint, and that's what I'm going to say on the issue, because honestly, I've been hearing this for the last however long it's been going on, 6 months, a year, or whatever, and I've kept abreast with it and apace with it, and Hannah will testify to this, and I tell you what, it's absolutely toothless.
What,
it really is.
Deferring action from up to...
You shouldn't take advantage.
No, let's respond to
we've got some of the back ones.
Well, just very quick, I'll make 30 seconds. Let's say deferring action for 4 weeks, potentially, is toothless. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it is.
You may say it's for 4 weeks, but it's the message that it sends out. It's the signal that it gives. Did we not ballot to actually go on strike?
The platform and said, we will not back down. We will stand firm no matter what other unions have done. And the first time it is off. And sorry, it is toothless, Hector.
It really is toothless.
Sorry, can I just say something? Hector, I understand the NEC's reasoning, but I do share the views of my comrades here that it is disappointing, definitely, because the one thing that swung it for me really was the announcement on regional pay. We could have ridden right on top of that one announcement, and it would have swung things in our favor in many ways in terms of support. What I'm concerned about now is that the momentum we had is going to be lost. It's going to be very difficult to rouse up the troops again that quickly.
Exactly.
And whilst I completely agree that we wait till the spring conference of the NUT and etc., and there's quite a lot of logic behind, you know, aligning ourselves with them, because it's not just about us, it's about schools being shut, you know, it's affecting people's lives, and so it does help a lot. But I think perhaps maybe now, forget about what's happened, looking forward, how much effort is the NEC going to put towards turning the other unions, you know, and I'm not just talking about NUT, I'm talking about horror of horrors, Unison, you know, which I mean, I don't even, every time I think of Unison, I like to puke almost, you know, it's awful.
Yeah.
They've got a completely spineless leadership.
Yeah.
So what do you think the NEC is likely to do now in terms of turning things and moving it forward? Because remember, you lose the momentum with our troops, then it's going to be a very, very damp squib of an affair if you know, going forward. I think the regional pay was a real clincher this weekend. We could have swung it on that alone.
Sorry, I think you already have lost the momentum. Sorry to interject. I really do.
Anybody else?
Do you think we should have a vote on it?
Take the vote, be interesting.
Sorry, but it was a build up for it. Everyone was ready for the 28th to come out. My members were, and now to go back and tell them it ain't happening.
It's not the 4-week issue. It's not about the 4 weeks. It's about the message.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
we
know.
were moving for something and now we're not.
Exactly.
We've blinked.
We've done more than blink. We practically stooped
take
down on
the
our
vote,
knee
take
and
the
said,
vote.
please bank us. You know, it's just...
Take the vote.
Okay, for what it's worth, this isn't
Yeah,
entirely...
take the vote.
It's not entirely democratic, is it? But, how do we phrase this? Who's in favour of the NEC's decision not to take action on March 28th? Show of hands.
Nobody. Oh wow.
You?
Well, of course I am. I'm not going to phone people know I'm NEC, innit?
Who thinks we should have still taken action on March 28th even without support?
That's what I voted for.
There's 3 abstentions. Oh.
Is that not
No,
what
there's
people
people
voted
from
for?
our branch at the back. At least one for the branch. You're abstaining, Gail.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, they didn't get it.
Oh.
Now you brought it to their attention.
No. Okay.
Conclusive.
I think you would have had the same
But
outcome if there were more
all I'm
people
saying
here.
is a fairly self-selected audience is still here. Yeah.